In June 2023, a group of amateur archaeologists were digging in a muddy field in Lincolnshire, England. Not professionals. Not a university team. Just a local history group on their knees in the dirt on a Tuesday. And then someone's trowel hit metal. They pulled out a small 12-sided bronze object. Hollow. Covered in circular holes. Perfectly cast. Sitting in the ground for over 1,700 years. They sent it to experts, and here's what the experts said. They said, "We don't know what this is." Not, "Give us a week." Not, "Let us run some tests." They said, "We have known about these objects for nearly 300 years. We have found 130 of them. And we still, to this day, cannot tell you what a single one was actually for." Stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you are going to have theories running through your head that even professional archaeologists haven't fully ruled out. This is Ancoria. Let's open the case file. Here's the object itself. A hollow object made of bronze, with 12 flat faces. Each face is a pentagon, and in the center of every single face there is a circular hole. Different sizes, every hole is a different diameter. At every one of the 12 corners there is a small studded knob. Some are the size of a golf ball, some are the size of a cricket ball. No two are exactly alike. Now here's your first question. If you found this in a field with no instructions, no label, what would your first guess be? Pause the video for a second and actually think about it. Got a guess? Good. Because you're about to find out you're in very good company. And so is literally every archaeologist who has ever studied one. The first dodecahedron was discovered in 1739 in Hertfordshire, England. That's 285 years ago. Queen Victoria hadn't been born yet. The United States didn't exist yet, and archaeologists were already scratching their heads over this exact object. Since then, we've found 130 of them. Not just in England, across the old edge of the Roman Empire. France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, Hungary. Which tells us something important. This wasn't one weird craftsman making one weird trinket. This was a known object, made repeatedly, across an entire region, over generations. Somebody was teaching somebody else how to make these. And yet, not one Roman scroll, not one mosaic, not one wall painting, not one piece of graffiti in 2,000 years of surviving Roman writing mentions what it was for. Think about that. The Romans wrote down everything. Recipes, gossip, complaints about their neighbors, love letters, tax records, and this object, made with real skill, real metal, real time, gets 0 mentions. Anywhere. That's not normal. That's a civilization keeping a secret, or a civilization that thought it was so obvious nobody needed to write it down. Which one do you think it is? Okay, let's go through the leading theories. Because archaeologists have not been sitting still for 285 years, they've built a whole shortlist. Theory 1, it's a measuring tool. Look at those holes again, different sizes on every face. Some researchers think Roman engineers used the dodecahedron to measure pipe diameters, or calculate distances for surveying land, or even calibrate military equipment. It's a good theory. Except the holes aren't consistent from object to object. If this was a standardized tool used across the empire, you'd expect the measurements to match up. They don't. Every single one is different. Which means either the Romans had the worst quality control in the ancient world, or this was never a measuring tool at all. Theory 2, it's a knitting tool. This one sounds strange until you actually see it demonstrated. A woman in Germany went viral for using a 3D printed replica to knit gloves, looping wool around the knobs and through the holes to create finger-shaped tubes. It actually works. It's genuinely clever. But here's the problem. No wool, no thread, no textile fragments have ever been found inside or near a single one of the 130 objects. Not one. If Romans were knitting gloves with these for centuries, we would expect to find at least a trace. We have none. Theory 3, it's a religious or ritual object. This is currently the leading theory. And here's why. The Norton Disney dodecahedron, the one found in 2023, was discovered buried in a pit, next to 4th century Roman pottery, placed deliberately. Not dropped, not lost. Placed, buried the way you bury something meaningful. An offering. Other dodecahedra have been found near shrines, near coin hoards, near figurines of gods. The pattern suggests these weren't tools people used every day and threw in a drawer. They were valuable, they were symbolic, and they were meant to be given up. Sacrificed, maybe. To who? For what? We don't know. That's theory 3. Theory 4. Dice. Candlestick holders, fishing net weights. Rangefinders for catapults, children's toys. All seriously proposed, all seriously disputed. Every single theory explains some of the evidence and contradicts the rest. That's the real mystery here. It's not that we have no ideas, it's that we have too many, and every one of them breaks somewhere. Now, here's the part that should genuinely bother you. These objects took real skill to make. We're talking about lost wax bronze casting, precision holes, symmetrical faces, consistent studded corners. This is not a 5-minute job. A skilled Roman craftsman would have spent real hours, real material, real expertise on every single one. Bronze wasn't cheap. So whoever made these valued them enough to invest serious labor into an object they apparently never wrote about, never depicted, and eventually just buried in the ground. Ask yourself, what do you own right now that you'd spend hours making, that you consider valuable enough to bury as an offering, but that you'd never mention to anyone, never post about, never explain? Most of us don't have an answer to that, which is exactly why this object still bothers historians almost 3 centuries later. Here's something else that rarely gets mentioned. The Norton Disney discovery in 2023 wasn't found by a university. It was found by a community group. Local volunteers, people with day jobs, digging on weekends because they loved history. And they found something that stumped every professional who examined it afterward. Glyn Hughes, the museum's exhibitions manager, said it plainly. Even after all this time, we are still unsure what it is or what it was used for. 300 years of study, 130 physical examples, modern chemical analysis, modern 3D scanning, modern experimental archaeology. And the honest answer from the people who study this for a living is still, we don't know. So let me ask you directly. Out of everything I just laid out, the measuring tool, the knitting frame, the religious offering, the rangefinder, which one do you believe? Or do you think it's something on this list nobody's thought of yet? Because here's the truth about mysteries like this one. Sometimes the answer isn't hiding in a lab, sometimes it's hiding in a fresh pair of eyes. Drop your theory in the comments below. I read every single one. And who knows, maybe the person who finally cracks this isn't a professor in a university office. Maybe it's someone in a muddy field in Lincolnshire, or maybe it's someone reading this right now. 2,000 years from now, someone might dig up one of our everyday objects and have no idea what it was for either. A USB cable with no computer left to plug it into. A house key to a door that's turned to dust. Knowledge doesn't just survive on its own, it survives because someone writes it down. Someone passes it on. The Romans built empires, roads, aqueducts, concrete that gets stronger with time, and somehow let this one small object slip through without a single explanation surviving. That's the part worth sitting with. Not the shape, not the bronze. The silence around it. A civilization that documented almost everything, and said nothing about this. So the next time someone tells you the ancient world has no secrets left, remember the dodecahedron. Still sitting in museum cases across Europe, still perfectly cast. Still asking the same question it's been asking for 285 years. What am I for? This is Ancoria. Tell me your theory below. We'll see you in the next one.